In 1944, America and its allies chose to invade Normandy, France, to liberate Europe from German control and bring an end to the war. Omaha Beach is one of the 5 key landing beaches in Normandy. The United States Army landed on Omaha Beach on June 6, 1944. Omaha Beach was the largest as well as the most difficult beach to attack because it was fortified by high cliffs, German machine gun bunkers, and landing obstacles. At this point in the war, Germany had invaded and taken over France, Belgium, Austria, Poland, Denmark, Norway, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Yugoslavia, and Greece. The Americans chose to invade Normandy because they wanted to weaken and demolish the German army by pushing them back into their own country. The United States Army believed that Omaha Beach would be the weakest point to attack to accomplish that goal. Unfortunately for the United States, this wasn't the case. The Germans had built defenses around Omaha and had machine gun emplacements on top of the beach. When units of the U.S. 29th and 1st Infantry Divisions approached the shore, many were killed by the defenders. About 2,500 American men were killed or injured. However, by the end of D-Day, the German defenders were routed, and they had accomplished their goal of taking Omaha Beach away from the Germans.
Robert Malloy arrived on Normandy Beach the day after D-Day on June 7, 1944. They moved him to Southampton, a distant base near D-Day, where a majority of the troops went. Many of them were sick from traveling on a diesel boat all night. When he arrived, the beach was filled with dead American and German soldiers, and his only thought was, "Thank God I wasn't here yesterday." Robert Malloy marched about 25 miles every day in the mud, carrying his 90-pound pack. He was assigned to the 38th Infantry Division for about 7 weeks until he started feeling funny pains in his chest.
Every day they took us out and marched us about 25 miles in the mud. The mud was 4, 5, 6 inches deep. And it was almost impossible to get it off. So you go to get in your pup tent at night, and the darn thing, your feet are wet, and they stay wet because they isn't going to dry off while it's raining.
Because it rained pretty much every day, he got sick with pneumonia and was sent to the hospital. Soon after he came back, Mr. Malloy was sent to work in KP, or kitchen police. His strong work ethic allowed him to stay in cook duty, which he was very thankful for because it kept him safe and dry. Robert Malloy also happened to be extremely smart and had a very high IQ. This benefited him in multiple ways because it allowed him to help the Army in ways other soldiers could not. Growing up on a farm, he learned a lot about electricity. He became a supply sergeant in the Army where he rewired old houses at 440 industry strength. Robert Malloy became a master sergeant and earned his 6th strike when he became stockade warden at the detention barracks in Paris. About 1,200 American soldiers and 800 German soldiers were kept here for various reasons for being deserters, murderers, rapists, etc. Since Germany was losing the war, they didn't have enough food in the country to feed its people. The German soldiers in prison were thankful because they were fed 3 meals a day. Robert went on to study engineering at Notre Dame after the war, where he met his future wife. In 1961, he had lunch with the 5-star General Omar Bradley, whom you see here, along with General Eisenhower, who planned the Normandy invasion. They were the key architects of the plan that worked to defeat Germany and liberate Europe. I would like to take this opportunity to personally thank Robert Malloy for taking the time to talk with me about his experiences in World War II. It is really special to hear from a veteran firsthand just how different times were back then and how our soldiers had to fight for our country. I think it's easy to take some of the simplest things in life for granted, such as the freedoms we are afforded, our independence, and happiness. We sometimes forget that this comes at a cost, and it's people like Robert Malloy who have had to fight for us to have those things. It was a pleasure working with him, and I've gained a lot through this experience.